All right. Have a good time.
And I've had the honor of working with Jesse the last couple of years through some really tough times. And you know, she's taught me so much. You know, they say our sponsees teach us stuff, and in this case, I mean, Jesse has taught me a lot about complete surrender, unwavering faith, and the true definition of life on life's terms. She's also taught me about how being a part of the herd can really make a difference in your life. And I have few people show up in my life that the way Jessie does. You know, she's really good about always agreeing to any service opportunities. And with me, there are quite a few. So it's not just once in a great while. So I'm just so grateful she's chosen to share her story with us today. I know it's not her favorite comfort zone. It's a great story, so I don't think you can miss it.
Ooh, thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. I am an alcoholic and an addict. Probably more of an addict, and I'm just warning you now, I have a lot of drugs in my story. In fact, I always said no to speaking because I didn't want to make anybody angry. But AA is what works for me. NA, I find a lot more sobriety here. I find a lot more people serious in the recovery, a lot less crosstalk, all that stuff. It works for me, so. Anyway, okay, I was born here in Missoula to a very normal family. I have a great supportive family. Rather than being the first person to go to college, like I was the first person to really take a dive, you know, like all my cousins, brother, they all went to college, all really good kids. You know, my parents aren't alcoholics. But it was just in me. It was in me from the beginning. I wanted to try everything and do everything that I possibly could. The first part of my life, I was very disciplined. I was a gymnast until I was 12, and that's really all I did. I got out of school and I went to gymnastics, and I traveled on the weekends, and I competed, and I hurt myself, and I walked through it, and which is really funny because later I became addicted. Then I couldn't deal with pain at all. So, you know, but it still gave me a good a start, I think. Anyway, when I was, okay, so like I said, my family was very normal. I did grow up with another family that was not normal. I saw a lot of the other side of things. They lived on the corner, and my best friend, there was 5 kids in the family. My best friend and her older brother and sister, and they were Native American, and their mom was just very crazy. And there was just a lot of weird guys over there, a lot of drinking, a lot of smoking, and somehow I ended up spending all my time there. Yeah, a lot of weird stuff going on. But when I was 12, their mom ended up trying to commit suicide. A fire started, and the 3 oldest died in the fire out in Target Range. And I only say that because I think it really changed who I was as a person. Like at that point, I was like, I quit gymnastics, I quit caring about school, and I wanted to drink and smoke weed and whatever. Everything kind of went downhill from there. I still went to school, at least till high school. At that point, yeah, I was 12 when I started drinking and smoking weed and smoking cigarettes. Probably, yeah, when I was about 15 is probably when things got worse. Drank a lot of 40s, you know, Old English and Mickey's, and that's what we did. We drove around in cars and drank and listened to, thought we were gangsters, listened to gangster rap, you know. The cops thought we were too, and which was really funny because we were just Montana kids, you know. So anyway, I had 13 MIPs by the time I turned 18, which was good. It was back then, because nowadays you can't get away with that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just got a slap on the wrist, and well, Judge Loudon also knew that the cops were kind of picking on us, but that's whatever, neither here nor there. Guy Baker really had it out for me. Yeah. Okay, and he wasn't that good of a dude even. I mean, I knew tons of stories about sexual favors, and somehow he still made it to detective, but whatever. Showed up later in my life. Anyway, when I was 15, I went to some weird place with some friends. Anyway, and some weird people there, really drunk. Some guy wouldn't leave me alone, so I decided to go for a walk in Bonner in the middle of the night, drunk, and then and I was attacked by somebody and raped. And the only reason I mentioned that also is because it really changed the way that I interacted with people. And from then on, I couldn't really be with somebody unless I drank alcohol, you know, and so that kind of set the stage for that. Let's see. So yeah, shit. I started skipping school a lot and just driving around drinking 40s, and then on to Strawberry Hills Boone Farm. Did a lot of that. Wasn't happy unless I got 3 bottles a night. You know, it's funny because I didn't think I had much alcohol in my story, and I didn't do any notes. I thought I'd do better if I just ad-libbed. So, but I was thinking about it last night, and I was like, well, wait, there was quite a bit of alcohol. Yeah, I remember I used to drink and I'd build up to the blackout. That was what I would do. I'd build up to the blackout, and then I'd be like, okay, you got to take a week off so you don't black out, because that's when you do the really stupid shit. And then in retrospect, every stupid thing I did, I was drunk, really, because it lowered my inhibitions, and then I was willing to do all kinds of stupid shit. So I dropped out of high school. I did get my GED, but I just couldn't make myself go. Hated it very badly. Wasn't until I was 18 and I started dating somebody who, and got into this group of friends. And really, you know, people say they don't plan on becoming an addict or an alcoholic, but this group of people, they did. Like, that was their aspiration, and it became mine. Like, we were going to become the worst junkies we could be, because we thought it was glorified at that point for some reason. Like, back when I grew up, I was born in 76. We didn't know that you got sick from heroin. We really didn't. We thought we could just get high and have a good time. And but that's later in the story. At 18, I tried hard drugs for the first time, and I actually went like on a 2-month bender on cocaine. Did the fish a couple times, scared the shit out of myself, and kind of pulled it together till I was about 21. I worked and I was healthy. Exercise has always been a big part of my life. So I'm either really doing bad or I'm exercising and doing really well. I've been in and out of the room since, let's see, 2000 and maybe 2? Yeah, 2002. And my sobriety date, my final sobriety date, is September 13th of 21. Anyway, so it was probably at 25 that I did speed for a few years, but I actually maintained, went to work, whatever. And I think because I was able to quit those things, and I thought that I could do the same with heroin. So, you know, and I actually did not like opiates. I had tried them. They made me sick. They made me itchy and bitchy and whatever. But then I got my wisdom teeth out, and I ended up with all these infections. They had to break my jaw, you know, all this crap to get them out, you know, pieces off my jaw. And they gave me Demerol for a month. And after that, I tried heroin, and I was like, wow, this is right on. This is exactly what works for me. So that was the beginning of that. And that was probably the roughest part of my story. It was probably about 23 to maybe 27. I tried doing a few geographicals, you know, moved to Bend, Oregon with my boyfriend. Then we just ended up driving to Salem every day to get dope, and it just was ugly. I remember driving on the highway and just wishing one of the volcanoes would just go off and take us off the road, you know, because I did not believe in suicide. I didn't believe in doing that to my family, people who loved you. I had people in my life commit suicide, and it just couldn't do it. But I sure wished for a lot of natural disasters. I just was like, please just take care of this. You know, I went to treatment a few times. Well, okay, so I was about 26. Okay, and this is probably at the peak, and I was a mess. And when I couldn't find, it was hard to find dope in Missoula. I mean, we did whatever we could get our hands on, but, you know, if I didn't have dope, I would drink and eat a bunch of Xanax and black out and do really stupid things. Well, apparently I decided I was going to start like going into people's houses around the neighborhood, you know, knock on the door, nobody answers. So many people left their doors unlocked. It was weird. So I'd go in, check their medicine cabinet, you know, if I found, and I did this for a 3-day period. Thought I got away with it, but like a year later, there was a note at my door from a detective, like to get a hold of them. Anyway, so they figured it out. And so I got in trouble with the law. I ended up just getting a 2-year deferred sentence, but I couldn't stay clean. It just didn't matter. I could not stay clean. I didn't want to. I didn't care. And so they took that 2 years deferred and gave me 10 years, 5 suspended MWP. So I was going to prison. So I went there from 27 to 30. It actually at that time was a good experience for me because I wasn't going to quit. I mean, if my parents had been a little more hard on me, I would have just gone to the city and lived on the streets probably. I really, so I needed it. I needed to have some time away and get sober. And I did like boot camp. I did all of that. I did treatment. And I got out and I started going to meetings here in Missoula. Again, I went to the Missoula group a lot, and that's where I met my daughter's father, Danny. Some of you may know him, Wrong Way Dan. Yeah, anyway, so from Chicago. So we ended up getting together and dating, one of those AA relationships. And we actually talked about getting married and stuff. It wasn't a good relationship though. I mean, we're still very good friends to this day, and we have a daughter together. So I got pregnant, and fortunately I just quit smoking cigarettes, and I was very healthy, and had my daughter in 2009. Her name is Dahlia, and she is the most amazing person in the world. I really lucked out. And I was sober for a long time. I did meetings. I did what I was supposed to do. After I had her, apparently I didn't know. I mean, it took 4 years before I realized there was something physically wrong with my health. Like, it got to the point where I was like eating 10,000 calories a day, but I was still losing 5 pounds every time I got on the scale. And like, I got down to like around 95 pounds and was like, my mom was like, you need to go to the doctor. And I felt like I was going crazy too. So I was, and everybody assumed I was using, but I was just totally crazy. So I went to the doctor, and this just has a lot to do with relapsing, you know, and apparently I was extremely hyperthyroid. I had Graves' disease, and they wanted to kill my thyroid immediately, radiate it, so that I was 30, something, and was gonna have a heart attack. So they did that, and this was when my daughter was 4. And so then I went from being extremely hyperthyroid to hypothyroid, not having one. And back then, they still didn't really know what kind of meds to put you on. They just put you on a T4 med, which your body, if you don't have a thyroid, can't turn it into your energy hormone. So I spent a good 4 years just, any energy I had was just to take care of my daughter, and it just got worse and worse. And eventually, after, I think it was, yeah, anyway, so Graves' disease, when you have a flare up, it attacks your bone mineral density. So I ended up with osteoporosis at a very young age. And I didn't figure that out till I woke up off the couch one day and just went to run, and my foot was asleep, and it just went under, and I snapped it in 3 places, and like there was a bone floating, and you know, so that's how I figured that out. I had to have surgery and put a bunch of metal in there, and that was prime for a relapse, you know, right there. I mean, they prescribed me Oxycontin and whatever, but when that nerve block wore off, I called my friends up. I need some heroin right now, you know, and that was the beginning of that. So I had a good 3-year relapse of, how do I say this? It was 3 years of terribleness. Anyway, whatever. I was still kind of keeping my shit together, but during this time, I've always been a fixer. For some reason, the most needy people, mentally ill people, whatever, seem to come to me, and I want to fix them. Couldn't fix myself, but I'll fix you, you know. And that's when I met Eric, my most recent significant other, and he fell in love with him before I even realized he had schizophrenia. And that was just a really tough thing. I was trying to be a mom, trying to pretend I was normal. I just had a double life going on all over the place, pretending I'm sober, but really, and it's such a pain in the ass to pretend you're sober and look for drugs and try to keep well. And I think the only reason I'm going to mention this is because I think it shows like how drastic it was for me to go from where I was to where I am now. I was the kind of person, I couldn't find drugs. I would go and punch a brick wall and break my hand and go to the ER so I could get pain pills. And I'd have them for a few hours and then I'd have a broken hand, but that's the kind of shit I did. I just did not care. And of course I would drink before I did that so that I would have the balls to do it, or whatever you could call that, stupidity, craziness. Anyway, so I ended up with Eric, and I actually got in trouble with the law again, and I got off heroin. But Eric, he was a speedhead, a gambler and a speed addict, and he smoked like half a quarter ounce a day. And so anyway, somehow I thought it was okay to sell some meth, because that was an easy way to make money, and I wasn't back to work after destroying my ankle and all that crap. And I had sold drugs before, so I thought this was a good thing to do for a minute. So, and anyway, he stole those drugs, he gambled it away, got me in a lot of debt, whatever. That's neither here nor there. It's all my fault. I went into all of this knowingly. But it was just a very sick relationship. And at this point, in retrospect, I see like he became my top priority. Like I still took care of my daughter, but he was my top priority, fixing that man or trying to convince him every day that he was loved, or he didn't, because he was suicidal all the time. And it took everything in me to keep him alive, really. So anyway, fast forward, there was, I hope I can speak this long. I'm getting kind of to the end of how it was. There was a raid at the house. Guy Baker was there. That's where he came into my life later. Anyway, and there was a pound of meth in the basement. I had stupidly let my drug dealer move in next door at one point, which was stupid. I went to high school with her, and I had tried to get out of the dealing drugs too. And I had for the most part, but they had apparently been watching my house. And so anyway, they came and I went to jail, and I actually got out. Feds like to let you get out. They like to they want you to go and start informing for them. They hope that's what you'll do. So I got out, and I was out well, at this point, I met Kara because I was sober. I got sober before I even went away. It was ridiculous because Eric was living at my house, still smoking his meth, and I was sober. And but I got a job, started working, and I met Kara at the morning meeting, and started working with her. Well, it was about 4 months. I was told that the feds would wait about a year before they'd come for me. Well, it was about 4 months because I didn't work for them and I didn't tell them what they wanted to know. So it was about 4 months when they came and arrested me and indicted me. And I got out on pretrial for about 2 weeks until I read my discovery, and I mentioned to somebody that somebody had told on them, and that's not okay with the feds. They come and get you pretty fast. So so at this point I was sober and doing well, but I had prices to pay. I still had to go to federal prison. And so I spent 8 months in Great Falls County, which is a wonderful jail. Third worst institution in the United States, as a matter of fact. And it was terrible. Kara stuck through all of this with me. She wrote to me. My sister sponsees, they wrote to me. I mean, Kara came and visited me there. We still, I mean, the support was amazing. I mean, they showed up at my sentencing, and which was really important. The judge took notice of everybody who was at my sentencing. It was pretty amazing. But anyway, anyway, went to prison. It ended up being a 15-month thing, which was amazing because I really could have gotten a lot of time. And I got out and was on house arrest and going to treatment, doing treatment over the internet. Anyway, Kara was still coming over once a week. We did all the steps. I just dove into it really. I just dove into AA finally. You know, I gave up. I gave in. I was so sick and tired of the hard. This is easy. This is easy. Being sober is easy for me. Like my life today is easy. I work hard, but I don't have to figure out how I'm going to feel better today. I don't have to figure out like, all I can say is like, if you're uncomfortable now, just give it more time and you won't be. But if you keep going out and relapsing, you just stay in that horrible discomfort. Only way to get through it is just to keep doing it. Happy 6 months, by the way, and I hope you just keep coming. I had different bouts of sobriety time, you know, throughout that. And but obviously something was holding me. I've only been speaking a half an hour. I'm getting close to the end here. I don't even know what to tell you guys. I don't, all like, but AA works for me. AA works for me. When I actually did everything I was supposed to, did the steps, like I made some great amends. I paid people money who never thought they would see me again. People who maybe even weren't doing that good, but guess what? My side of the street's clean because I paid them money that they had lent me or bought me this or done that. And it is so amazing having my side of the street clean. And my daughter is amazing. I mean, I was gone for 15 months and we were always really attached at the hip. Her dad worked out of town. And so there was a lot of her life, especially in the beginning where it was just her and I, you know, maybe the weekends, but so that part, I mean, once I got in trouble, it was like, oh, I skipped over some major shit. Okay. Once I got in trouble, my priorities, I realized how skewed they were. I was like, okay, my daughter is the only thing that matters, you know, besides myself. And so even though Eric was still living in my house, we kind of drifted apart, but I kind of didn't even mention that part. While I was in Great Falls County, I got a call from telling me to call my lawyer, and my mom had gone over to the house and found Eric dead at the house. He had committed suicide. Which, you know, like I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Like I said, it took everything in me to keep him alive those years. And so it was sad. It was sad, yes. But I, at the same time, had a sense of relief. Like it was probably the nicest thing he could have done for me. I know that sounds terrible, but, and he didn't do it for me, whatever. But I mean, I felt like I didn't have to keep him alive. I didn't have to worry about him anymore. I'm still in contact with his kids and his mom, and it's all whatever. I don't want to say about that, but that was a major part of being in jail. The last couple of years were pretty rough. Just being away from my daughter was the worst. But she loves me. I mean, she loves me. I got out of prison and was on house arrest, and we slept in the same twin bed for months because she just wanted to cuddle with me. She's going to be 15 in June, you know, and she doesn't have that I don't want to be around my mom yet thing. She's such a good kid. I think seeing her dad and I, our struggles and hearing stories she doesn't even want to try drugs. And you know, I'm not saying it's going to stay that way, but she has no desire to try alcohol or drugs, and she's getting straight A's, and she's so well rounded. Like I might have done something right at some point, you know. I certainly feel like I did a lot wrong. But I mean, I couldn't be more fortunate. God, I don't know if I have more than that, you guys. It's all right. Okay. That's it. A lot of, pardon me again. Okay. I have keys to a lot of buildings in Missoula. It's amazing. Like people trust me. I have a badge to county buildings in Missoula. it's just a whole different thing, it's amazing that people trust me. And I think the best thing for me is, feeling like people can rely on me. Like if I show up for people, and that gives me self-worth, like it's amazing because there was a lot of years that I just couldn't show up for people, hated obligations, couldn't do any of it. And Kara's been a big part of teaching me that also. But it's amazing to have people trust you, to for people to count on you. It's the most amazing part, I don't know. That's really it. I just figured I needed to say something about how it is now. I mean, my life is easy. It really is. I just stay sober, and I go to meetings and I show up when I'm supposed to, and I exercise, I hike a lot, and that helps me. And I hang out with my awesome daughter, and my family. And it's everything, even when it's bad, it's way better than it was then. It's way easier. All I have to do is get up and show up and go to work, and it's awesome. Anyway, that's it.